David, in favour of Brexit. Go ahead.
Merci, monsieur. Well, on the first report, Messrs Van Dalen, Mato, or Dust said Brexit would be bad for Europe. Well, you had 2 years to be reasonable, but Messrs Barnier, Verhofstadt, Juncker were not reasonable. Now you run out of time, and you're going to have problems. However, you may be interested to hear that there are aspects of this document we like, and even approve. It states certain facts, which some wish to deny. It says, for instance, that the EU does lose access to UK waters in the event of no withdrawal agreement. Fact. UK waters alone are worth over 500 million euros to the EU. Fact. Some fleets are very UK dependent. Half Belgian landings come from UK waters. Fact. Thus, it recognises that we have what we have long said, what I have long said on this committee, the impact of sudden closure of UK waters to Union fishing vessels would therefore be substantial, with a strong negative impact. Fact. In short, and despite Project Fear Marks 1, 2 and now 3, we are right to say that the EU has a lot to lose from no agreement. Where the report does frankly astound me is that it goes on to claim the proposed modification does not imply any changes in the multi-annual financial framework. At best, this is a tendentiously technical, short-term interpretation of the impact, which is significant, large and long-term. We oppose this report because, despite actually agreeing with much of it, because it shows how far bureaucratic procedure is from what happens in the real world, ladies and gents, please get real. As the report in practice acknowledges, you are in grave danger of cutting off your noses to spite your faces. Personally, I always like those spaghetti westerns. I'm sure you've all seen them. Well, Clint Eastwood, Charles Bronson, Lee Van Cleef and Sergio Leone would all understand where we are today. It's the moment of tension, usually under a burning sun close to the end. Who will blink first? Well, this is not a film. It's about real people's lives and businesses. So let's end the current Mexican standoff. Let's remove the backstop and get on with the practical process of agreeing how we can arrive at a win-win situation. Brexit, not a current lose-lose.
Please. Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to highlight that, especially from unexpected corners in this room, we hear so many statements by the Commission and these documents declared as facts, and that's good news, especially in times of fake news. It's always comforting to see that we produce facts rather than moral judgments. First of all, on the funding, we are cooperating in these two proposals, well, in one proposal actually, on the premise that there will be no extra funding. Whether there will be extra funding, that's a completely different discussion. For this proposal, there will be no extra funding. Member states will have to provide the funding from their own national envelope. Please also bear in mind that if there were to be extra funding, that would go into the EMFF. It would not necessarily go to the 8 member states directly affected. It would be in negotiation between 28 or 27 member states, depending a bit on the moment. Even practically, the availability of extra funding would lead to many complications that would most certainly not help to a timely adoption of these proposals. That's on the money side. Immediately after, it is true that the proposal on the EMFF has let's say, an expiration date. The expiration date is not the end of 2019, but the end of the EMFF period, so it's 2 years. I made reference to the 9 months as an option to use that for 2019, because 2019 is the first that's ahead of us, so that's the only reference. But in principle, the new measure for temporary cessation is applicable for the whole period of the EMFF. Of course, always within the limitation of 9 months application. We are permanently in contact with our partners in the Northeast Atlantic. We are in close contact with the main parts like Norway, etc. On any eventuality. For a long time we were working with them with the prospect of a withdrawal agreement with a transition period, but we are also in contact with them on the eventualities of a no-deal Brexit. Because there will be changes to some of them as well, because for them also the UK will become an independent state, and even if we, between the EU and the UK and for instance Norway or another third party, we maintain everything as business as usual for 2019, there will have to be some arrangement between the UK as the one who controls their waters with third parties. But we know that there is communication between all parties, including between London and these parties, about how we should tackle this from the first day after the Brexit onwards.
Thank you very much, Joost. I'd like to make one comment. Now, quite honestly, we weren't at all prepared for a no-deal scenario, which explains the urgency measures that we've been talking about today. We were focused on a scenario with an agreement. We were convinced that we would get an agreement, and now because of our excessive optimism we're faced with a very concerning situation. We can always hope that by the 29th of March we get an agreement, as Richard said, whether it be a hard or a soft agreement. But look, this is all about a no agreement scenario. We can't stop Brexit. I mean, the British can only they can decide that.